Would you believe it? There once lived an ordinary stray dog who rewrote real American military history. He was born helpless, wandering the streets alone, scavenging leftover food from trash cans just to survive each day. He had no noble bloodline, no professional military training, and no one to protect him. Yet this tiny, scruffy dog endured the most brutal cruelties of World War I. He survived 17 deadly frontline battles, warned troops of countless lethal mustard gas attacks, detected incoming enemy artillery long before human soldiers could hear them, and single-handedly captured a high-ranking German spy with top-secret battlefield intel. In the end, the U.S. Army officially promoted him to the rank of sergeant, a military status higher than his own owner. He received official decorations from the U.S. Military Supreme Commander, was personally honored by 3 consecutive American presidents, and stood as the most decorated war dog in entire world history. This animated film, Sergeant Stubby, was never a fictional children's fairy tale. Every battle, every injury, and every heroic deed was 100% based on real, recorded history. After learning his full life story, you would truly understand that heroism and loyalty have nothing to do with size, species, or origin. Back in 1916, World War I had already torn Europe apart for 2 full years. Millions of young soldiers died in brutal trench warfare, and the entire continent was buried in gunpowder and blood. While America still stayed out of the war officially, military training camps across the country began intensive recruitment and drills to prepare for the inevitable overseas battle. Near a Yale University training base in Connecticut, a small, short-tailed stray dog struggled desperately to stay alive. He had no name, no home, no warm shelter, and no one to care for him. Local residents often chased him away, and stray dogs like him usually starved to death or froze in the cold night wind. That harsh, hopeless life lasted until a kind-hearted young Army recruit named Robert Conroy noticed the fragile little dog. Robert shared his military rations with the timid stray, and the puppy, who had never felt kindness before, quietly followed him all the way back to the military camp. Robert named him Stubby. For the very first time in his miserable life, this homeless dog had a name, a home, and someone who genuinely cared about his existence. Military camp rules were extremely strict, and keeping personal pets on base was completely prohibited. A short while later, a patrolling inspection officer accidentally discovered Stubby hiding under Robert's dormitory bed. Everyone panicked instantly. Robert faced formal military discipline and possible dismissal, and everyone assumed the poor puppy would be driven away and sent back to the cruel streets. But in this desperate moment, Stubby displayed astonishing intelligence and spirituality that shocked every soldier present. He steadily stood on his hind legs, lifted his tiny front paw, and performed a standard, clumsy but extremely sincere military salute. His innocent, earnest gesture instantly melted the officer's stern expression. Impressed deeply by the puppy's cleverness and docility, the officer made a special military exception. He allowed Stubby to officially stay in the 26th Infantry Division and become the troop's exclusive official mascot. From that day on, Stubby integrated perfectly into rigorous military training life. He ran side by side with soldiers during long-distance drills, followed along during obstacle courses, and rested quietly beside exhausted recruits during breaks. Military training was brutal and exhausting, and most young soldiers were teenagers who had never experienced hardship or war. They suffered from severe anxiety, insomnia, and fear every single night, terrified of the deadly battlefield waiting for them overseas. Stubby became their only spiritual comfort. He nuzzled depressed soldiers, stayed with traumatized boys through sleepless nights, and brought rare warmth and joy to the dull, high-pressure military camp. All the soldiers loved him deeply and regarded him as the troop's lucky charm. No one could have imagined that this gentle, lovely little mascot would soon become their most reliable lifeline in the hellish trenches of Europe. In 1917, the United States officially declared war on Germany and joined World War I. Robert's infantry unit received urgent orders to deploy to the brutal Western Front in France. Military regulations strictly forbade soldiers from carrying any pets on transoceanic military ships. Faced with separation from his closest companion, Robert made a risky decision. He hid Stubby carefully inside his travel luggage, took huge disciplinary risks, and secretly brought the puppy aboard the troop ship. The month-long ocean voyage was rough and cramped. Stubby stayed quiet and hidden the entire time, never barking or making noise, helping Robert avoid detection. Unfortunately, during final landing inspection in France, senior military officers heard faint movement and discovered the hidden puppy. Robert fell into complete despair, thinking he would lose Stubby forever. Yet once again, Stubby created a miracle. He gently picked up the commander's fallen leather whip with his mouth and handed it back respectfully. His sensible, well-behaved attitude completely won over the strict officer. The military finally approved Stubby's formal deployment, issued him an official military dog tag, and allowed him to march into the frontline trenches alongside American soldiers. The moment Stubby stepped foot in the European trenches, he witnessed the real horror of war that no textbook could ever describe. Continuous heavy artillery bombarded the battlefield day and night, blowing the ground into countless craters and burying broken weapons and corpses everywhere. The muddy trenches were filled with filthy sewage, rotten debris, and swarms of disease-carrying rats. The air reeked of choking gunpowder, dried blood, and decaying flesh. Enemy snipers hid in hidden positions, landmines were buried all over the no-man's land, and sudden night ambushes happened constantly. Every second on the front line was a desperate fight for survival. All the young American recruits were terrified and mentally shattered by the endless cruelty. Stubby also trembled violently at the deafening artillery blasts, but he never fled or hid. He forced himself to stay calm and shouldered the responsibility of protecting every soldier in his troop. Stubby patrolled the long trenches tirelessly day and night. He hunted massive numbers of rats non-stop, effectively preventing the spread of deadly plague and infectious diseases that were more lethal than bullets in the trenches. He accompanied every mentally broken soldier, comforting their severe PTSD and soothing their endless fear of death. At first, soldiers only saw him as a healing emotional support companion, but everything changed when the German army launched a ruthless large-scale mustard gas sneak attack. Late at night, exhausted soldiers fell into deep sleep after days of fierce fighting. Colorless, odorless toxic gas drifted silently through the trenches, undetectable by human noses. Stubby's super-sensitive canine nose caught the lethal chemical scent instantly. He barked frantically, jumped wildly, and tugged violently at every soldier's uniform. When the overly tired men still failed to wake up, Stubby threw himself flat on the ground and played dead repeatedly, using all his strength to warn everyone of the impending fatal disaster. The soldiers finally woke up in terror and quickly put on their gas masks, saving the entire unit from total annihilation. However, Stubby, who stood at the forefront to warn everyone, inhaled a large dose of concentrated poison gas. He collapsed on the spot, convulsing violently, his body trembling uncontrollably as he struggled to breathe. Robert rushed through the smoky trenches desperately, holding his dying dog tightly and racing toward the field hospital. All the military medics believed Stubby would not survive the severe poisoning, but this tough little war dog fought stubbornly through the night and miraculously survived. He was left with permanent respiratory damage, yet his sense of smell became even more sensitive to toxic gas. From that day forward, he accurately predicted every single German gas attack, saving hundreds of American soldiers' lives. The US military even customized a tiny exclusive gas mask for him, making him the world's first and only living gas-warning military dog. Apart from his unmatched scent detection ability, Stubby's hearing far exceeded human limits. He could capture the ultra-low frequency roar of incoming artillery shells dozens of seconds before human ears could perceive any sound. Whenever he tensed his ears, lowered his body close to the ground, and paced anxiously back and forth, the soldiers immediately understood the danger and dropped flat for cover. Countless artillery shells exploded precisely where the troops had been standing just seconds earlier. Again and again, Stubby's natural animal instincts blocked deadly artillery strikes and shielded the entire unit from catastrophic casualties. His most glorious and meritorious deed occurred during the brutal Battle of Argonne Forest, one of the deadliest battles of World War I. Late at night, the front lines were completely chaotic, with American and German troops entangled in confused combat. A highly trained German military spy snuck into the American camp, wearing a perfect US military uniform disguise. He carried top-secret troop deployment intel that could destroy the entire American defensive line if delivered back to German headquarters. The spy's disguise was flawless, and all experienced human patrol soldiers failed to spot his true identity. Only Stubby sensed the hostile, dangerous aura instantly. His fur stood completely on end, and he charged forward ferociously, biting the spy's thigh tightly and refusing to release his grip no matter how violently the enemy struggled and kicked. Despite brutal blows and severe pain, Stubby held on firmly, buying precious time for surrounding American soldiers to surround, subdue, and arrest the spy. After strict military interrogation, the army confirmed the spy's critical intelligence would have caused massive troop destruction. This single heroic act saved thousands of American lives. To honor this extraordinary wartime merit, the US military issued an unprecedented special promotion order. Stubby was officially conferred the formal rank of US Army Sergeant. The once homeless, starving stray dog became a formal, non-commissioned military officer, outranking his own owner, Robert. The legendary name Sergeant Stubby spread rapidly across the entire Western Front, becoming famous among all Allied troops. War never showed mercy to heroes, regardless of how small or brave they were. During successive fierce offensive battles, Stubby suffered 2 life-threatening severe injuries. Grenade shrapnel sliced through his forelegs and pierced his chest, leaving deep, permanent scars all over his body. Each time he was sent to the rear for emergency treatment and barely recovered, he secretly snuck back to the frontline trenches without hesitation, refusing to stay safe while his comrades fought and sacrificed. During dangerous no-man's-land ceasefires, he bravely wandered through bomb ruins and craters alone. Using his sharp sense of smell, he located buried wounded soldiers trapped under dirt and debris, dug frantically with his paws, and barked continuously to guide medics to rescue dying troops. He personally saved dozens of injured soldiers who would have perished without his help. Over 18 consecutive months of brutal frontline combat, Stubby fought in 17 large-scale deadly World War I battles. He performed countless military duties, standing night guard, detecting enemy dangers, rescuing wounded soldiers, warning artillery strikes, and preventing gas disasters. His tiny body endured endless explosions, gunfire, poison gas, and bloody injuries. Every medal, every stripe, and every scar on his customized military uniform represented a narrow escape from death and a hard-earned wartime miracle. In 1918, World War I finally ended, and peace returned to the war-ravaged European continent. Stubby returned to the United States with the victorious American troops and instantly became a nationwide sensational hero. The highest-ranking U.S. military general personally awarded him multiple distinguished military honors. 3 successive U.S. presidents invited him to the White House for official reception and praise. Grand national victory parades were held across America, with massive crowds lining the streets to cheer for this heroic war dog. The stray puppy who once starved and wandered abandoned streets eventually became one of the most respected national heroes in American history. After retiring from military service, Stubby never lost his gentle and kind nature. He accompanied Robert back to college to complete his studies and frequently visited veteran rehabilitation hospitals and nursing homes. He spent his post-war years accompanying and comforting countless disabled, traumatized veterans who suffered lifelong physical and mental scars from the brutal war. He lived a long, peaceful, and honorable life. After his passing, his body and all his military medals were permanently preserved and displayed at the U.S. Army Infantry Museum. Even after 100 years, visitors from all over the world still come to admire and respect this legendary war hero. Most modern audiences mistakenly regard this story as a warm, fictional animal animation. But the real historical truth is far more touching and shocking than any movie plot. Stubby had no status, no wealth, no powerful background, and no special talents at birth. Yet he possessed the purest, most loyal, and most fearless heart in the world. This human war was never his battle. He could have fled safely, lived a simple, peaceful life, and avoided all danger and suffering. But he chose to stand firmly with his comrades, charge into gunfire without hesitation, and dedicate his entire life to protection and loyalty. Great heroism never relies on grand stature or noble identity. Ordinary tiny lives can also carry extraordinary courage and faith. Sergeant Stubby's legendary life perfectly proved that loyalty has no species, bravery has no size, and true greatness always stems from selfless kindness and persistent devotion. He was just a small dog, but he became an eternal hero worthy of eternal remembrance and respect.